my intro, and then we'll get cracking. Right, so welcome to episode 15 of the Edinburgh Fitness Podcast with me, Steve Smith, coaching. This week I have another guest on, and we've got another interesting topic to speak about. Let me introduce Chloe. How are we doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
What's been happening?
Just lockdown life and just trying to keep busy and stay on my toes and everything, resistance bands and glute project and trying to stay on top of the diet and trying to stay fit and just everything. Everything is a bit chaos. It feels like everything everywhere, but it's going good so far.
Excellent. It's hard to kind of, at one stage it feels like we've been in lockdown forever, but then another one it's like 12 weeks or something. You're like, whoa, that's like mental.
Absolutely. So, it's just going, like, at the beginning it was really slow, and I think it was the uncertainty of how long is this going to last, and we've never really had much guidance. It was just another 3 weeks, another 3 weeks, another 3 weeks, but now we've got some guidance in place, and hopefully into phase 2 by Thursday, and soon the gyms will hopefully be open and
okay. It's interesting, like you say, it's there's light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing, and it's hard to believe. I mean, it's probably nearly a quarter of the year that we're going to be here, so plenty of time to do.
It's crazy, and I think as much as it's been hard for everybody, but I think that everybody needed it. Like, I think everybody will have taken something away from this experience, and whether that be a new skill or just a new mindset or just another outlook in life to say, well, I probably took this for granted and this is how I'm going to go forward in the future. Anything can be taken away, and just realize how precious every day is and be grateful for what you have. So it's just important to just be positive as much as you can and realize that we've still got another whole half of the year to go, and we're all going to come out stronger and better out of this.
Yeah, exactly. You just kind of hope people keep that up, don't you? Because it's like you say, it's like things like I've probably never spoke to my family as much as I've spoken to them in lockdown. And it's like it could be very easy for me to get back to normality and slip back into old ways. But you say, if you make a conscious effort of going, no, these are some of the things that I missed during lockdown, I don't want to miss them again.
Yeah.
I'm really going to stay on top of it, then it can make such a difference. So
absolutely.
Wise words, Chloe, wise words. I've got you on today, so we're going to talk about vegan life. And there's obviously nobody better that I know to speak about the vegan life and what it's all about. So first thing I've kind of asked you, have you always been a vegan?
No, I haven't always been vegan. I used to, believe it or not, I used to love eating steak and I used to love eating chicken. And when people look at me now and I say that, they're like, no, that doesn't suit you. But I went vegan 2 years ago. About 2.5 years ago now. And really, it just started as a challenge for myself. So people ask me a lot of the time, did you just jump into this or did you actually think through it? So I took the time beforehand. Like, I have some vegan friends, and she was always kind of guiding me and giving me some advice, and I'm always really open to listening and learning anyway. But I made the decision on my own, so it wasn't kind of anyone's influence. I know how it felt to be like, that's not what I want to do, and that's not really for me. So you have to go in with your own kind of passion, your own reasons. You can't just do it because somebody tells you to do it, or you won't stick to it. It was just the same with anything. But when I went vegan, I kind of was just getting bored of eating just chicken and rice all the time, things like that. And I just wanted to switch up the diet completely. And I came across this challenge online that said veganuary. So every year in January, it's known as Veganuary. Everyone tries to incorporate more plant-based meals in their diet. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to just see if I'm able to do this. I'm probably not going to be able to do it, and I won't see myself sticking to it, but let's just see what's the worst that can happen. And then I actually enjoyed just finding out new recipes and discovering new foods that like I hadn't tried before. I probably never ate chickpeas or anything before, or anything like vegetarian burgers or anything like that. It was all brand new to me at the time, so I was just enjoying trying something new, and it stuck. So after Veganuary finished, I thought I'm just going to continue, and from there I started educating myself a lot more. So I did watch the documentaries. I watched What the Health. So I will say that was a big part in my decision, because it started opening my eyes a little bit more. And then I just took it from there and just done my own research, and it just stuck. So I did it for myself, and just my own reasons. So if anyone is ever thinking about changing anything when it comes to their diet or their lifestyle, I always just say do it for your own reasons. Never do it because somebody else tells you that you should do it.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be your internal drivers that kind of drive you on and stuff like that. And got to go from kind of I'll just try it to a month to 2 years, obviously shows that you are passionate about it, and you've kind of just summed up all the stuff you've done, like investigating more and looking for more recipes and educating yourself more. You wouldn't have done that if it was just an internal motivator. So it's amazing to hear. So is there anyone else in your family that's vegan, and how did people that you kind of live with adjust to you being vegan?
So when I went vegan, well, I've got someone in my family who's also vegan, and before she was vegetarian, so this is my auntie. And then when I kind of went vegan, I was discussing this with her, and she was like, yeah, I like that idea. All that she really needed to cut out was dairy. So just slowly but surely, and she transitioned, and she's enjoying it just as much as me. And she's got a little baby, and her baby is also plant-based, and my parents as well. So my mum and dad tried to go vegan when I went, and they do really make a conscious effort. So they are completely vegetarian. They haven't eaten any meat in the same amount of time that I had. So they thought, you know what, let's just all do it together, because we were living in the same household. So for that, it was easier, because if they were still, stocking up with like chicken or cooking meats and stuff, I think it would be really hard, because at the time when I was transitioning, I would probably, one meal won't hurt or whatever. When I was just really like, I want to do this challenge, like, and when I want to do something, I will stick to it. So I was like, I don't want to get anything in the way. I just want to try and do this and see how far I can go. But yeah, my mum and dad are vegetarian, so they do still have, the only thing that they do have in their diet is cheese, and it's only because there's a lot of vegan cheeses out there that it's mainly the smell. It doesn't smell good, and sometimes they all taste a bit different. So it can smell like cheese, but maybe a bit stronger, or maybe a little bit off, but it doesn't taste that way, and it can put a lot of people off. So they just didn't like the vegan cheese, but they have stuck to it since I've been doing it. But that's it really. So we've got my auntie, her baby, and my mum and dad are all kind of vegetarian.
It's quite good to have that support around you, though, to like you to do it, and then your family were like, well, I'll just try it as well. I mean, that probably made such a difference for you, and what you kind of said there as well, like, sticking to the challenge is very true. And I think probably what helped you with that initially would have been the timeline to it, wasn't it? It was just like, I'm only, if I could do it for a month, whereas if you just said you're going vegan initially, then like you say, that one day wouldn't have been too bad.
Absolutely.
So no, it's great to hear.
I think the transition is important, and I think if anybody is ever trying to change anything, or whether it, for this example, if someone's trying to go vegan or vegetarian, then I would always recommend start off slow. Never just go like cold turkey, as they say. Just start slowly reducing your meat intake. Whether sometimes people eat meat like 3-4 times a day for like breakfast, lunch, dinner. And then in that case, I would normally say, well, try and just limit it to like have have like one meat meal for like your main meal, and then you're already reducing your daily meat intake. And then from there, you can then say, I'll just maybe do a 1 meat-free day, totally meat-free through the week, and try and cut out dairy on that day, and then increase it to 2 days, and then increase it to 3 days. And then from there, just slowly going through it, because if you just do it all at once, you're going to panic and you're going to be like, oh, I feel like I'm being deficient. I feel like I might not be eating enough. I don't know what to eat. That's usually a big common reason for many, like if people are trying to transition. The reason why people often don't stick to it is because they aren't sure of what they could eat. But there is so much stuff that you could eat. Like, it's just knowing what to eat. So it's good if you've got someone there to guide you, or like I say, if you just research it and have everything in line, make a shopping list and go and search the supermarket for just the different options.
Yeah.
But it's quite hard at the time, I will admit that, because then you've got to be conscious of always checking the labels. You always have to make sure, right, does this have milk in it? Does this have egg in it? Does this have natural flavourings in it? Does it say it's vegetarian? And you've got to look at everything, right down to the bottles of wine. You have to make sure even alcohol is vegan, because a lot of it isn't vegan.
You checked a lot of alcohol bottles, have you?
Yeah, check them all.
Yeah, I think what I was going to say there is, having not really kind of experienced it like you, it's hard to tell. But from what I've witnessed, I think where people fail is they take something out of their diet, like the meat, but they don't substitute it, so they reduce their calories drastically, and then go, I feel awful. And it's like, well, you need to get your kind of calorie balance right, and substitute your meat for something else, and you won't feel that negative. You'll actually probably feel better, because you're putting more nutrients and vitamins in from the vegetables and that you're putting into your diet. So I think, like you say, that's a good way of doing it, is transition slowly so you get used to that change. My parents have tried that. I don't think they're ever looking to switch full vegetarian, but they are once a week they have a vegetarian day.
Oh, that's good.
So just again, like you say, Mum, it's opening up my mum's eyes to what there is. There's so much more variety than we think there is, kind of thing.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So that you've kind of answered it, but we'll go into it again. What's your vegan struggles?
Struggles with being vegan. It's getting better now, I would say. But when I first went vegan, the main struggle was going to restaurants. So when you're going out for a meal, it was kind of always checking the website beforehand to make sure they just had something to cater towards you, because sometimes you would go and the only vegan thing on the menu would be like chips or tomato pasta or something with falafels in it. And this, for me, I was like, it's just kind of putting me off kind of going, because I hate to be the one going maybe with my friends and we've chose a restaurant together, and I hate being that awkward one, like feeling awkward,
like you're being
I hate that feeling. And it's just the feeling of I don't want to be difficult. I hate the feeling of being asking the waiter or waitress, have you got any other options? Can you change this for me? Can you just take the cheese out of this for me? And that felt, like you say, it felt like a bit of a burden. I was like, oh, I know I'm going to be the complicated one at the meal. But now almost every restaurant is able to cater towards vegan meals and vegetarian. Everywhere has got to have an option, at least a couple options, maybe not vegan, but definitely vegetarian. And if something is only vegetarian, then it's usually they've got cheese in it. So if you go somewhere that's chosen and there's nothing like vegan, you can always just say, can you please just take the cheese out of this for me? Or some people have allergies and stuff like that, so they do understand that part. So that was definitely a struggle. And anything
What about
else?
like when you're like you say? I think probably things have came on so much in the last couple of years. Anyway, it's probably a lot easier. But what was it like if, say, you hadn't prepared stuff? Is it quite easy for you to go and get stuff at the shops, or is it?
Oh, that was definitely hard. It was just trying to make sure, yeah, that you had your meals prepared. So for me, being a PT, and sometimes you only have like 10-15 minutes in between clients, you can quickly eat something. So I had to make sure I had my meals prepared. I'm not the best at that. I'm not the greatest at meal prep at all. And I wish I could be better. So that's something I will work on. So yeah, convenient. I would just want to go down to the shop and quickly grab something. So thankfully now that things have picked up, right, this will sound really bad, but I'm going to be honest. When in Cameron Toll, for example, I would just run down maybe to Costa. They now do the vegan toasties.
Well, I was about to say Subway as well. I mean, Subway have
Yeah,
brought their vegan stuff out now, so I mean, it is great to see so many varieties now and
yeah,
options.
absolutely. Because before it was like, well, I'm just going to have to eat a snack, like a bit of fruit, or just going down to the shop or get like a vegan. They're normally like the naked bars, and there wasn't a lot of options, but now everything's is just kind of going forward, everything's progressing, and there is so many options out there. It's just giving them a try and making sure that you're like what, like, you need to make sure as well that what you're putting in is good. So I wouldn't recommend always running down to Subway, or I wouldn't recommend always running to Costa. So I would recommend trying to prep your meals and stuff anyway, so you can avoid that, and plus you're going to save a lot more money.
Yeah,
Because being vegan can be really cheap if you really work around it well. But there is loads of different, I guess, levels of being vegan. I like to incorporate meat alternatives, but there are a lot of vegans out there that don't like the meat alternatives and therefore really work to just eat a raw vegan diet, completely vegetables, completely, healthy organic food. So there are lots of different stages. So for me, I do enjoy the meat alternatives, and I know that will sound weird because people often say, well, why do you eat meat alternatives but you don't eat meat? Or why do you want the meat alternatives but you don't eat meat? And it's usually just because, and that reason I do it more for the animals. So I'm like, before I just started it as a diet thing, and then I went into more, well, I'm doing it just for animals. So I know that I can eat this, and I'm not eating any animals. That is my only reason. And if you can have the alternative out there that tastes very similar, then that makes it, I think, in a way easier for people to transition. So if
yeah.
people are like, I don't want to really cut out chicken, honestly, there is amazing alternatives out there that if I even, I remember feeding, I made like sausages, Richmond sausages, and I made like a normal sausage sandwich just for my boyfriend who isn't vegan. And when he was eating it, he's like, why did you make these? Like, that's not vegan. I was like, they're definitely vegan. He's like, no way, that doesn't taste like, that tastes like normal
Oh,
sausages.
really? Right. Okay.
So it's crazy how close or similar things can take, and it's quite interesting to get the perspective from someone who's not vegan to just try it and be like, wow, I would never have guessed that was vegan.
Yeah.
So in a way, that's quite good to help people transition from eating a high meat diet into slowly transitioning into eating less meat, but putting just as good alternatives in place.
Yeah, and it's probably answered the next question because I was going to say maybe some folk would struggle kind of hitting, say, protein
Yeah.
in a vegan diet, but you've kind of answered that there is kind of a lot of options now, and there's variety with regards to hitting your protein and stuff like that. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And of course, it's just the same with any kind of diet. If you've got calorie intake to follow, you've got your macros there, you can still scan everything, all the meat alternatives, and whatever you're making will will help to make up your protein. So it is just the same. If you do feel like you're lacking any protein, then of course, like, I don't personally like protein shakes, but I guess there are, if you want to get that extra boost in there. I used to drink protein shakes, but I'm not a fan. So I do
yeah.
really try and get my protein all from the foods I eat.
What probably is quite good is it probably is an eye opener for folk that there is protein in more sources than just meat, because a lot of folk, especially kind of bodybuilders now, they say if you say protein, all they'll think about is meat. They'll think about chicken, they'll think
Yeah.
about meat. But like you say, I mean, when you look at like beans and chickpeas and like all these kind of things that have high protein contents in them, and shows you can still get a high protein diet from a vegan diet.
Yeah.
It should be an eye opener for people that it's not simply about just eating meat and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I will say as well is that, I would never ever make anybody or push this on anybody. Like, I would never go up to someone and be like, you should be vegan because you should stop eating that meat, or you should, because of this, because of that.
Vegan warrior.
Yeah, that's not me. And I could be like that, but I'm not. That's not me as a person. And I really want people to always do something for themselves, again, for their own reasons. I know how it feels for if something's constantly in your face and you're like, you know what, I'll do it in my own time. Just, I don't want any pressure, or, what, that's not what I want to do. And it puts you off. It actually makes you resent it. So, and you're like, I don't want to be a vegan. I don't want to be pushing it on anybody.
Yeah, I
But
think that's why I wanted you on as well, was because you're not like that, and it wouldn't, because I'm not a vegan and I haven't really got views either way, but I didn't want it to be that kind of this is what it needs to be. I wanted somebody that says like I've tried it and it works for me.
yeah,
So
because it's
people listening that will be like that as well, as that I've been thinking about it, but I'm not sure, and it's just helping answer their questions as opposed to telling them it's the way to be. So
yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
so
Because
where
if
would
you
you?
just tell,
Sorry, go ahead.
sorry, if you just tell someone this is what you need to do and that's it, and they're like, well, what's the reasonings behind that? Like, if they're open into learning, then you can go in. But you know what? Just waiting for someone will approach you if they need your help or guidance, and the information is out there. So, and you know what? A lot of people say, well, how do you go out for like meals and stuff with your friends if they're not vegan? And honestly, 100% does not bother me. It doesn't affect me. I do not have any opinions against anybody. Have never felt that way. Um, I could never imagine, because I know there are people out there like that, and I know it puts people off. Who are like, you know what, I don't want to sit beside you because you're eating fish. Like, I think that's crazy because people have their own lives. So people have to live their own lives, and no one's going to sit there and judge you. So would you want to be judged? No, so don't ever judge anybody else.
Yeah, I wrote an email the other day to my clients about it, and I was saying that it's like fitness is a bit like, say, politics, isn't it? It's like if you kind of look at a scale, you've got your far right and your kind of far left, and if they're right up the top end of their scale on their view on something, then they're usually dickheads. Whereas if you're sitting somewhere in between, say, the 2 and the 8 on the scale, or 2 and the 7, where you are, like you say, is this is what I do, but you have to do it. Whereas if it was a 10, it'd be like, no, vegan for all, and like stop.
Yeah.
And then on the opposite side, you would have that person that's like, no, meat is the only way to go. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, let's sit somewhere between the 3 and the 7 and go, well, I eat meat, but if you don't want to eat it, then I respect that. Vice versa kind of thing. So,
Absolutely.
so where do you get your recipe ideas? Because obviously that's where people might struggle.
Yep. So you know what? When I was first, like, I have recipe books. Right? I'm old fashioned, so I do have a lot of recipe books. And the first person whose recipes I really enjoyed was actually the Joe Wicks recipe books.
Right.
So from there, I was using them when I was eating a meat diet. So, you know, the good old chicken and meat pie and, you know, the
Yeah.
steak pie, everything like that. And, you know, I was making that. And I was used to making that. So when I was transitioning, I said, I'm going to just put this alternative in there instead and see how it goes. So then I just started following his recipes and putting the meat in, things like that. And now I honestly will just browse the websites. I normally see different Instagram pages that have, like, you know, the videos where they make it and like they throw everything together. And
Yeah.
I like things like that. So I'm like, okay, this looks easy to follow. So honestly, just things like on Instagram. But I am like 100%, I like to keep things simple. So I like to stick to kind of the same things. Like, so I'm pretty basic in that way. So I love to just eat like make a pasta dish or bake some baked potatoes and things like that. Honestly, I keep things simple because if I overcomplicate things with like big recipes, then I know I'm not going to stick to it because most in a normal day I will not have that much time to cook a meal like that big. So I like to just keep things quick, simple, keep it easy, keep the calories tracked and everything, everything like that, and just because that's the way it works for me. I wish I could maybe be better at, you know, cooking and bigger recipes. When I've got the time, I love it. But I normally ask my friends for advice as well. You know, I'm like, okay, tell me what's a good one of your favorite meals. What's a good meal to make? Or my friends normally, like, we've got a group chat and we talk about everything in this chat, and they normally put in their recipes, or I made this today, or I made these brownies today, and I'm like, send me that recipe over, because so it's good. Just keep it wide, keep it quite broad. You know, just you don't have to stick to one recipe book or one thing. Keep things varied, and I mean, social media is huge. So you see recipes everywhere, videos and stuff. But me personally, I keep it simple and I like to keep it just basic. That keeps me happy.
But it's spice of life. Right, so obviously I couldn't have a vegan on the show and not talk about that Netflix documentary that was kind of big a few months back, Game Changers.
Yes, game
What was
changer.
your views on it as a vegan?
When I was watching it, I actually found out stuff that I didn't know before, like the scientific tests, everything like that. I hadn't seen anything like that before, and I think the like when it came out on Netflix, it just kind of blew up. And then from what I saw after people watched it, a lot of people said, I'm going to try it. I'm going to go vegan. This is me, that I've made my decision now. I've watched this one documentary and my whole life has changed. And I was kind of a bit skeptical because I was like, this documentary has information on it. It's not got all the information on it. And there definitely needs to be research. And from what I saw from people, they didn't stick to that vegan diet. So I'd like to just kind of go back and see, well, maybe what didn't work for you, or you know, I don't know what their purpose was for. I think it was just a bit more for education, and the guy in it obviously went in with an open mind, and he was kind of wanting to transition to a vegan diet for health reasons. And when he was on the battle ropes for a whole hour, I was like, no way, because that's crazy. I didn't even think I could do that. If like, it definitely gives you more energy. And there were some good points in it, but I feel like it probably should have gave you more resources. And being a documentary, it should have gave you more resources on where to look for more information, and because it was like, you can't just watch an hour's documentary and your whole life is going to change. You can feel inspired from it, but you need to have reasons. And it's good that people did give it a try, but I know that it didn't stick, and I'd just like to see, well, what maybe didn't work for you.
Yeah,
So
I think
you can pick it up.
me personally, I think it was tipping towards that kind of 9 or 10 on that scale I was talking about. Is like you say, it was sitting at some stages. I was like, this is really interesting, this is good. And then it would come out with some stupid example, an athlete that runs, and it was just like, let's turn this back and show that you can still be a successful athlete as a vegan, as opposed to they switched to vegan and
they were like, you know what, if you're not the best unless you're vegan. That was the kind of message they were given. They were like, you can't be the fittest, you can't be the strongest if you're not vegan, because this person is the fastest, this person is the strongest, and this person has won this. And it's like, but what about the people that have achieved things that are on a meat diet? Like, they were only showing the vegan people, but you know what, they weren't showing other people's successes who aren't on a vegan diet. And I do agree with you, it was up there on that scale that was kind of like, this is a way forward. Like, it was quite pushy, and I get that people will watch that and say, well, I do want to be the strongest and I do want to be the fittest, so maybe that's what I need to do. And you know what, overall, it's just a healthy diet. It's a healthy diet, and being consistent at a healthy diet and putting in the work. Like, there's no way around that, whatever you've got.
Yeah, big words there, consistency in it. It's like you're not going to go vegan for 6 months and become Usain Bolt, and likewise, you're not going to eat meat for 6 months and become Usain Bolt unless you do your work, and then you do it over years and consistency. So, like you say, it's about finding what works for you and what's consistent for you. So, it's definitely that way. So,
another point that I took from that, sorry, was that I know that people like Arnold and stuff was on it, and they were kind of saying, you know, so he's vegetarian now, but they brought up some interesting points from the past that might have been propaganda towards, in particular, men, and in the program, where they were saying real men eat meat. Programs like that were coming on the TV, and I think that's when they were saying, like, you know, it was being pushed on a lot of people that you need to eat meat or this makes you a man. And it was like Burger King stuff and all things like that. And I thought, I hadn't seen it, I hadn't never thought of anything like that way, and it was quite, just shows you how the media works. Like, that was just crazy to watch, and that's why a lot of people. And then when Arnold brought up, he's like, that's what we grew up on. Like, we grew up watching that stuff, and that we just thought that that was the only way. But then when he said, you know, I kind of adopted to a more vegetarian diet, and there's nothing wrong with that either. So that was quite interesting to see that in the documentary.
Yeah, I think it just opens your eyes a bit more to marketing. And like you say, it's like there's people that are paid millions to get you to have their products. And, you know, back in the day, it was like, right, we need to sell these burgers. How can we sell it? We need to sell men. It's the only way to be a man. And like you say, now it's kind of opening up your eyes a bit to marketing and going, well, this is what they're saying. Now, you don't have to believe everything they're saying, kind of thing. So,
absolutely.
Cool. So also one of the big things, so we'll kind of wrap up the vegan stuff there, because that was kind of interesting. So one of the big things you're known at is the Glute Project. So before we go, do you want to give people a wee heads up about what it is and all that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. So I do, if you don't know about the Glute Project, then it is run by me. So I run this class at Cameron Toe at the gym, and just before lockdown happened, I extended it outside the gym. I'm so excited to get up and running again. When lockdown happened, I missed everything. I missed PT, I missed doing my class, but I thought, you know what, let's just do it online. Let's take it online. Everyone's doing Instagram lives, and I was so open to that idea. At first, I was like, this is really scary, going on Instagram live, hundreds of people watching you and taking part. Then I thought, that's really, really good, because I'm able to extend that to other people who have maybe said that, you know, I've always wanted to take part in your class, but I can't make it to the gym, or I live a distance away. So I'm glad I was able to extend it in that way. And I love doing Instagram live classes. It's great. It's definitely different, but I'm really excited to get back in front of a class and see everybody. And, you know, it's different because I like to be there to motivate people. And when I'm in the camera, I'm for myself. It's actually harder because I say, people are watching me. So I can't be tired. I can't just go and walk over to someone and motivate them because I'm tired. I have to be there doing the full thing because the eyes are on me.
Trick of the trade there, Chloe, when trainers walk around. But yeah, obviously your kind of bands have really taken off in lockdown as well. So
yeah,
just give people a quick overview of why the bands are so important and why people have kind of been buying them and stuff.
Yes, so my class is based on resistance bands. So you are utilising the use of resistance bands through the whole class. So I always say as well, the bands are not essential. If you don't have them, you can still do the class without, but you are going to get the most engagement out of your glutes with the glute band. Anyone that's used a glute band will tell you they feel that burn 10 times more. So my class is using resistance bands. That's what it's based on. Legs and glute exercises only. So when I first started the class, kind of a bit of background. Before I even became a PT and when I was a PT, I was always kind of using the resistance bands and, for glute activation. So I was using the latex bands to start. And these bands were just awful. It was the only bands that I knew, but every time you're using them, they just roll up your legs, they snap up your legs, they tear. I put a video, a comparison video on my Instagram showing this, so I'm not lying. These bands are really bad, and I was wasting a lot more time trying to get the band on and organize it than I was actually doing the workout. So then I kind of googled what are other band types that you can get. And then I came across the fabric bands. So then I went on to Amazon and I was buying these fabric bands, using them with my clients and myself. I loved them. They were 10 times better. They don't roll, they don't stack, they stay in place. They're really good quality. They've got amazing resistance on them. And then when I started my class, I was providing these bands for the class. So I bought them in bulk when I started. So I have 20 of those bands because I had 20 people in my class. And I was giving them out, I'd use them for the class, I'd borrow them, give me them back after. And after the class, the girls normally said, where do I get these bands? I really want to get one for myself. And I say, oh, you just get them on Amazon. So I'll send you the link if you want, so you've got the exact same ones as me. And then these girls, they were purchasing these bands. And then more and more people started to ask me. And then it just kind of rung a bell in my head saying, why am I recommending people to go buy somebody else's bands when I could look into having my own bands and providing them for the class? And instead of telling people go on Amazon and buy it, I wasn't even a 100% fan of these bands I was buying on Amazon. These bands were kind of fraying, if you want. They weren't the greatest bands, but I was using them. So even then, I didn't feel 100% confident in saying these are the best bands because I wasn't 100% happy with them. But that's the only band I knew. So when I got my own bands, I 100% feel confident in saying these bands are the best bands. Mine has lasted me since I've still got my very first band. It's in perfect condition. All the girls, I have two different sisters, so actually girls and boys both love them. Add them with their clients, with their training, add them into their training, they do the glute project, and they see the difference compared to using latex bands. So for me, that's when I kind of started up that business, and I got the bands and people were purchasing them at class. They're bringing their own bands along. And I loved having my own kind of glute project products. And then that opened a whole other venture for me. So I was just kind of providing them for the class. I would bring them to my class and people like to purchase them at class. So when lockdown actually happened, then I thought, how am I going to sell these bands to people if I'm not physically there to sell them? And that's when I opened up my website. And you just need to set up your website, put everything up there, and put on your social medias, for example, Instagram, and people can directly buy it from your link. So that was kind of how that took off. Kind of just went from one end to the other, recommending people to Amazon, to the sending people to my website if they are looking to make a purchase on a band. So for me,